Okie dokie. So this is going to be a straight confessional. It's going to be basically a check-in. I can be talking about where I am in my day, what happened, or what's going to happen next. Very practically, what is it that I'm considering, and what am I going to do next, and how am I figuring that out? What kind of technical and non-technical strategies that I'm employing as I go along. Wonder if I can grab this, see if that will maybe look a little bit better, even if I'm sort of over here a little bit, just because of that glare. And so let's do this. I wrote some notes. So firstly, non-technical tools is paper. And I just thought about what is it that I do want to say, what is it that I want to do next, and maybe some contextual things. And so I just wrote down this kind of thing. Incidentally, this right here means that there is nothing on previous pages that I have to worry about. That's just bonus material though. And so I want to go through this. I have two items at the top. And one has to do with sort of, for today, I think about like what I call mindfulness, and really the focus on must-do tasks, or what I call must-dos. Or let me say it this way, mindfulness, period. But I also want to be including how I employ mindfulness in order to determine what my must-dos are. Okay, so, but it's mindfulness in general. I almost really need to have a focus, more of a focus on mindfulness, even more than really anything else, I think. And it's worth saying just a few words about that, because I have exercised and developed and tried to remember dozens and dozens, countless strategies, only to discover over and over and over again that mindfulness is the solution to 9 out of 10 of my problems. And I forget about that. I forget about that. And so maybe, confessionals and including mindfulness in my confessionals, I think is good for me. I don't, mindfulness is something so private for me. I have what I consider to be my teachers, and that would be Stephen Hagen and Robert Wright. And it's like I don't want any more input from mindfulness. Mindfulness, like anything in life, can be overwhelming. There's so much variation and different ways to see everything and to employ it, that it can just be diluted and confusing and overwhelming and stuff like that. So I get no external input. In fact, even my primary Buddhist teacher, and I'd say even primary mindfulness teacher, Stephen Hagen, by far, basically. But what Robert Wright does is Robert Wright brings in the whole neuroscience, modern psychology, evolutionary psychology elements that, where Buddhism and modern science are really beginning to converge. Modern science, albeit 2,500 years late, is starting to catch up and support Buddhism. Okay, enough of that. But I do want to and am going to be weaving that into my confessionals just because it is something that I really need to be focusing on, and it does solve so many things. So when it is relevant and occurs to me and it is directly contributing to what it is that I'm doing, I will point that out. These are not Dharma. This is not going to be a Dharma talk or anything like that. It is just something that I really need to be focusing on. And lastly, on the whole mindfulness thing, is that I'm on vacation next week. So it's now Sunday. So basically, beginning on Saturday or Friday evening, I've technically been on vacation for, sort of 10 days. If you add the 2 weekends to the 5 days next week. And that's a 10-day silent opportunity for a 10-day silent meditation retreat or sesshin if you're in the Zen tradition, which I am. And that is what it is. Okay. I haven't really done that. I had a really normal Friday night, a really normal Saturday and Saturday evening, and a fairly normal Sunday. Spent this morning with my daughter, which is not unusual, to have breakfast and watch a little bit of television and stuff like that. So that was great. That's a pretty good place to start. So let's go back to this morning, though. And so this morning, I reviewed my Gmail inbox, and I am doing something a little bit new. I'm going to bring my phone over here. Doing something a little bit new with Gmail. In that I want my Gmail to contain, or my Gmail inbox, I want my Gmail inbox to contain actionable tasks. And those, it could be tasks, it could be information. But I'm going to use the word task, but it could be any information, anything I want to remember. And it's kind of important, because a task, I am always in control. So what I want the calendar app and Gmail to primarily deliver for me, to me, is information that my previous self knows that I need to be made aware of. And then I am going to exercise my agency in terms of sort of how to conduct my affairs and my life and everything based on that information. And it's a new model. It's a very new model, but it has been transformative, because I have very recently just became very overwhelmed with putting too much structure. The calendar app allows me, it's so powerful in the way that it allows me to put together my day visually, dragging things around and piecing together my day, that I kind of got sucked into. I like slipped a little bit, and I started to feel like, oh, now I need to structure every day, but I really don't. And so now what I'm wanting Gmail to do, which this is very different, is I want Gmail to contain the actionable things. So if I open Gmail, everything in there needs to be actionable. If it's not, it needs to be snoozed to another day. Or it needs to be put on my calendar if it's something for today. So for example, this is going to be an example that I use, and this is going to be the only example that I use. So you're going to get sick of hearing this, but I cannot go to the grocery until 10 a.m. because that's when the meat department opens. So I don't want the grocery in my Gmail inbox because it's just going to clutter things because I can't go there. I want everything in Gmail. When I open up Gmail, I want it to contain opportunities, things that I can act on immediately. Not just today, but now. And so that is the way that I'm using it. And I'll go through some examples of those items because I've got some very clear-cut items. And I've also been able to, from just a general confessional, is I'm very happy with what I've been able to do because I have many fewer items in my Gmail inbox, even though, despite the fact that I am keeping more in Gmail now. All of my actionable things are in Gmail. They're no longer in my calendar. And so the calendar is going to have all of those time sensitive or things that I theoretically, I can't act on them. I accidentally clicked on something here, but I also have something that I want to share with you that just happened. And so, like I said, my calendar will contain like a 10 a.m. event that's called, grocery. And at 10 a.m., that kind of sound will come up and it'll say, go to the grocery. Now, it doesn't mean I need to go to the grocery right now. What it means is that I need to remember that I needed to go to the grocery, but I also don't need to remember that I have to go to the grocery until I can do something about it, right? Also, if I need to piece together my day, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with piecing together my day if I do really and sincerely need to deliver a lot. I need to be very productive today. There's nothing wrong with that. And if I were to actually want to piece together my day and the grocery was going to be part of that day, it's great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's on my calendar. I can see it. But I don't want something like that cluttering my actionable stuff, which is going to be Gmail. Now, there's another layer. There's a distinction inside of these actionable things. So actionable things are things I can do immediately right now. And then the only other distinction I'm making inside Gmail are my must-do items. So for example, today I have one must-do, and there's some context. There's some context to this. But there's one must-do, and it's not even a must-do, but I'm thinking it's the closest thing to a real must-do. And there's a lot of ways to think about must-do tasks, There's so many ways to think about it. Just one way to help clarify a must-do task is to answer the question, will any real damage occur if I do not do this task? Okay. So if my one today is cooking chicken, and that is it's not even a must do, but I bought the chicken, I have it, and if I don't cook it today, it'll go bad. So I have to cook it today. I'm committed to cooking it today, which is why I bought it yesterday. And it's so easy. I could be cooking chicken right now while I'm talking to you. Completely total. I could set it out and have it sitting out, coming up to room temp, and then I prep it while I'm preheating the oven. I put it in the oven for 20 minutes, and then I'm done, basically, right? It's one of the easiest things that I can do. However, having said that, it's, fairly grounded, so from start to finish, it's around an hour and 15 minutes where I don't really want to be going anywhere. So I want to be at home, but the total work time for me it's 5 to 10 minutes. All the other time is the chicken coming up to temp, the oven preheating, and the chicken baking, and then the chicken, I rest it also. I rest the chicken for 15 minutes. So it's like nothing. And every single time that I bake chicken, it's nothing. Okay. So anyway, really? Okay. I'm going to sit over here for a little bit. Okay. And so how do I implement that? Well, in Gmail, I have a star. It's that I've got that task is starred in my Gmail inbox. Now, and because it's immediately actionable, I can start the process of cooking the chicken at any time. So it's immediately actionable, and it is also it's very, very not critical, but I'm saying it's the really one must do that I really want to do or, should do today, right? Now I have some other things in my inbox that are actionable, and if I weren't off work next week, I would want to do them today. Today's Sunday. Sunday is my day for doing things around the house. Saturday is more like there are more things going on during the day on Saturday. There's also, I tend to run errands on Saturday. It's just Saturday's more of like an errand day. There's things going on Saturday night that I might want to do and stuff like that. But Sunday is really, I would guess that most people are more likely to be doing things around the house on Sunday than they are on Saturday. And I'm tempted to talk about how, having said all that, like none of that really applies to me because all of my days are pretty much the same, but we can talk about that some other time. Now, there's an interesting stream of consciousness sort of that I just went through in talking about what is my day and thinking about the context of today, but also the impact that the fact that I'm on vacation next week should sort of have on today. And it's a big impact because I can do all of the other things other than the cooking chicken. I can do all of those things tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, or the next day. Wouldn't want to really wait till sort of next week because some of these things are periodic and they're kind of due. There's laundry I've got to do. The laundry really isn't going to impact stuff, but there are things I want to do, like changing my bed linens and stuff. And I do that periodically. So I really wouldn't want to do that today or tomorrow or something like that. Again, it's not the end of the world. It's not an exact science, but there's a reason why I made decisions around the periodicity of how I do things around the house. But again, I can do these things tomorrow. It's not that big of a deal, right? And the longer, the less frequent something is, the less important it is to actually do something exactly on the right day. If I want to review my financials every 6 months, does it matter whether I do it and it just happens to be 6 months today? Does it really matter whether I did it yesterday or tomorrow or anything? No. If it's a daily task like going to the gym or something like that, then it's a huge impact, because basically what it means is that I did not do it at all, because I worked out yesterday, I'm going to work out tomorrow, but if I don't work out today, I'm literally skipping a whole day. So that's like the biggest impact that you can get. So since I'm on vacation, these items are just not that important. There's also, let me back up. Let me go through the stream of consciousness the way that I wrote it down. So the first thing is that laundry, etc., these other items in my Gmail inbox, they can be done later because I'm on vacation, right? Now, my vacation is not really, I should clarify that it's like a staycation. It's not even a staycation. It's basically just me not working, and I really kind of want to be in this quasi meditation state. But part of that is working. So it's meditate. You even have to do walking meditation. You got to break up the meditation a little bit. One of the ways to break up meditation is doing work. And some of the work I need to do, when you think about laundry, for example, laundry is a great thing to do between meditation sessions. You can even meditate while the laundry is in, because it's about the same amount of time. So you could put laundry in, meditate until the laundry's done. Take the laundry out, put it into the dryer, then do another meditation session if you want, or something else that takes 30 to 40 minutes or whatever it is. Okay. Now, the other contextual thing, like I just said, is that it's good to have things to do. It's good to have things to do in general. There was a guy on Reddit the other day. He said that he would be scared to run out of things to do or to not have something to do. And it sounds weird, but I can kind of identify with that. I'm a little concerned about not having anything to do. And so, it keeps me honest, I guess, in a way. It keeps me busy to sort of have things to do, because if I don't have anything to do, what am I going to do? Am I going to get in some kind of trouble? Am I going to start to seek something because, I'm having feelings of emptiness or something like that? So it's good to have things to do in general, but it's also would be good to have some things to do on my vacation, because, like I said, I need to break up that meditation. Now, the other thing that the other side of the coin, and again, this is where we start getting into overthinking, but this is all very relevant, is because there is some work that I want to do next week. So this sounds crazy, but it's kind of important. I have some important work that I want to do, and I like my work. And there's a whole thing about why I decided to take vacation, but whatever. But there is some work that I need to do. I am able to do it, so it's all actionable. I know what it is I want to do, and it's very fun. It's super fun kind of work. So I'm actually going to enjoy my week more getting this work done than to just take vacation that I don't need to take and then be stressed out or not even be able to do this type of work or to get this work done. And then it's complicated, but basically certain work that I do is important because it actually helps to shape my job. So this type of work is the kind of work I want to do. So I want to deliver it successfully so that people keep coming to me for this kind of work. Okay. So there's that, right? So there's this, okay, I want to have things to do next week, but at the same time, I have things to do next week. So that seems to negate the idea that I'm on vacation next week and I can get these things done. But I believe that I'll be able to do all of these things because, just like I said, I was able to meditate while the washing machine's running. I can also work while the washing machine's running. So I can envision a week, next week, where I'm very meditative. I'm having my meals. I am doing my work for my job, and then I'm taking a break, doing more meditation, and then I'm doing like emptying the washer, doing that kind of thing, maybe just doing things around the house, and just alternating between these different states and just being very mindful with all of it, because absolutely none of it needs to be done. But it's all going to matter. So that's another really, really big theme for me. There's two big themes and big breakthroughs that I've had recently. And one of them is not playing guitar. And it's a long story, but just it's the very, very simple short story is that one of the ways I play guitar really doesn't matter tomorrow. So I enjoy playing guitar. I'm an improvisational musician. When I play guitar, there is a way that I play guitar, which is truly just playing in the literal sense of playing, having fun. So I play the guitar, and then I'm done playing guitar, and I go on with whatever else I'm doing. Playing guitar is fun. I deserve to be able to play guitar. It is actually, in a sense, meditative, but it's also not very meditative. It doesn't matter. So if I don't play guitar, it's not going to matter tomorrow. It's going to be fleeting. And not only is it going to be fleeting and not matter whether I play guitar today, it's not going to matter tomorrow whether I play guitar today, but when I do play guitar, every day that I skip and don't play guitar, it's more fun. It's just the way it is, especially with improvisational guitar. I just have more ideas. It's more exciting. I'm more excited to do it. And so I have stopped doing that. So anyway, that's just one of the things. And because I can play guitar very easily for 2 hours a day, I've gained 2 hours. I probably average an hour a day, every day playing guitar. When I stop playing guitar at home, I gain an hour a day. Now I still allow myself to play the guitar, but only when I'm performing. So only when it's public, only when I'm performing. I no longer play guitar alone at home. Okay. What's the next thing? But still continuing on with this, I still wanted to have things to do next week and all that. I talked about having work that I want to do, but I also don't want to overestimate the time that is needed to do what I'm going to do. So I really fretted over this thing I needed to do for work. It was a very hard problem. I was trying to do it as part of something else that I'm doing, which is generally what I want to do. I don't want to be doing separating things from work. It's better to have everything sort of together. But once I realized or started to think about how what I needed to do is not going to happen all together, and I started to think, why don't I just do this separate thing to get this thing done? Then we'll figure out the rest of it later. I started getting excited because when I really started to look into what it would take to do this thing almost not from scratch, but just separately from this other dependency, I started getting excited and thinking that it could really be simple. But I am very bad about kind of overestimating what it takes to do things, even emptying the dishwasher. So obviously I'm going to be subject, or I'm going to be vulnerable to overestimating something that I do in data architecture that's much more complex. Okay, so there's that. Now, here's another point of this, is that I enjoy my job. The kinds of things I do at work were the kinds of things I did even before I did this for my job. I actually did this data work and architecture and all this stuff that I do. I did it for my hobbies. I did it for fun. I did it for other people, just gratis, like pro bono. I did it all the time. So it's fun. And so what does it matter whether I'm working or not if I like my work? And obviously my employer provides me days off, but I think I'm going to just not worry about that part of it. And I may actually let my boss know that I don't think I did work this week. I needed some flexibility, but I don't think I should charge all 5 days to PTO. Okay. And then, of course, I went along there with this kind of almost a mind map that I was doing. And I started to think, I also can work while I'm doing laundry, and I can work while I'm cooking, right? Just like I was talking earlier, I think about meditation, right? Then I said, yeah, I can also meditate while I'm cooking. So I can be doing all 3 of these things all week. And knowing that none of them need to be done, I can be very relaxed through the whole process, but then get things done that actually matter, even though they're not critical. Although I could argue that the work part of what I'm doing is pretty critical, and I don't think I would do it if it wasn't, but I feel comfortable that I can do it in the time allotted. And then the last thing here is that I actually sort of, it goes back to like it being good for me to have things to do, around the house, because there's only so much walking meditation I can do. I have to take breaks in my meditation. And so I really feel like I need work to do next week in between proper sitting. Proper's not the right word, but formal, disciplined sitting meditation. Anyway, so that's just this thing. Now I want to talk about, so that was all around this like must do. How does this tie into mindfulness? Well, it ties into the Session meditation retreat that I'm going to do next week, like I just said, but it also, the real important part about how mindfulness ties into all this is that mindfulness helps to simplify my life. It's the most useful, effective way to filter what I'm doing than by far. It's the most effective way to filter my life, what I'm doing, what comes into my life, than it by far. Okay. And it is everything about seeking and clinging and ego and judgment and worthiness and all of that. It's because so much of what we do is about seeking and clinging and attachment and all that stuff. And so that's where mindfulness comes in. And so if I am better able to identify, hey, Catherine, what's up? Hope you're doing well. I know that I've got slow mode on, so tell me how you've been and all that. And let's see. So mindfulness. The filtering. So basically, what I was saying was that the secret the mindfulness is so much of my secret sauce. I can't even explain it, but it's basically about filtering and keeping things simple and really focusing on what matters. And there's so little that matters. And so that's where it ties in. If I can shrink, if I can simplify and shrink what it is I care about, and then I can get good at being organized and remembering things, then I'm pretty much all good. And that's where I'm going to get into some of the Gmail, where the rubber hits the road Gmail stuff. Good to hear. Yeah, I am so good. It's crazy. I know that I want to do these things, but it's just been crazy. So I don't know. I honestly want to allow myself to do these, and I'm going to be doing them for sure. I just don't know about the schedule part of it, but as I think will become clear as I start to go through my Gmail and sort of do the confessional about like where I am today and kind of how things have been. So that's kind of what I want to do in this and these. It's sort of like I want to kind of how do I explain this? I haven't released any of my footage. So let me explain a little bit about what my new plan for this channel is going to be. I think I want it to be somewhat like a documentary. And what I've been doing that I haven't released yet, and I don't know if I will release them, but I've been testing it, is basically what I'm doing is when I have something that happens to me, or when I'm at a place in my day where I'm transitioning or I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do next, or I had so many on Friday. It's crazy. And yesterday I had so many where just things were flowing and so many good things happened. And then I just sort of allowed things to happen. I'm capturing that real time. So I'm grabbing my phone, I'm doing a selfie video, and I'm like, hey, this is what just happened. And this was happening. And then now I'm going to do this next. And this is how I found out a new way, or reminded myself of a way to use Gmail, which I have another one to share today. What was Gmail. Let me write this down so I don't forget for you. Putting things at top of inbox. Okay. Thank God for paper. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I think it's going to be kind of confessional, but almost even more like documentary style and very fast. That's the other thing. If I'm sitting in my car, and I'll tell you this story if you want. If I'm sitting in my car outside of Five Guys restaurant, it's going to be fast and quick because it's something that occurred to me, or I'm done eating and something has like magic happened, which it did. And that's what that is. I'm just going to tell you right there. I'm just going to turn on video and start talking about what just happened and how things just fell into place magically. And it'll be, 1 minute, 2 minutes or something. And then I'll check in with you later or something like that. So it could be something that could be stitched together into a documentary, but it's definitely going to be a lot easier to watch than something like this, just because these are long. I may even end up replacing these longer videos with those. I just don't know yet, but I think it'll be very helpful. And then of course, I will always be able to get comments in the videos. So we can communicate asynchronously like that. You can respond and let me know anything that you might be interested in with me going into more detail on, and sort of all that kind of stuff. And then of course I will be asking during those, like, hey, because I'm going to try to I'm going to try to discipline myself to not go off track. And for those real quick phone videos, I'm going to try to stay on topic. But you know how we can be, right? Everything's connected to everything, and we can go on tangents in our heads. And I'm just going to try to not do that and really, really focus on, this is the story I'm trying to tell. Okay, let's see. So this is a perfect segue though, because I just remembered about one of the things. The reason I'm doing this video is because there was something in Gmail that I knew and I discovered that you could do in Gmail, but I forgot about it because I wasn't using it. I am an expert. I am not the world's greatest expert or renowned expert on Gmail, but I am pretty damn good at Gmail. And so one of the things that I knew how to do, but I wasn't using it, and now I'm using it, is you're able to you can put anything at the top of your Gmail inbox very easily. In fact, you can do multiple things. You can do it in mass. And all you have to do is, you can, first of all, you can select all or any subset of items in any place in Gmail, like your inbox. And then what you can do is you can snooze those items, and then you can do pick date and time. And then you can click on, under the time, you have the standard evening, afternoon, morning. And then under that, you have custom. And when you click on custom, it will default to 1 minute from now. Okay. And then you can tap next and then save. And then it will snooze it for 1 minute from now. But the most recent thing to come off of being snoozed is going to be at the top. And so what I did, I'm going to cancel out of this. What I did was, and this wasn't even the reason I was going to do this, but what I did was I put the only thing that I have to do today, I wanted it at the top, and it's the cooked chicken. That is the only thing that I need to do today. I really don't need to do it. But like I was talking about before, is cooking chicken is the only thing. It's like the only must-do thing for today. But I also have in my Gmail inbox, I was explaining this earlier, that what I want from Gmail, and specifically the inbox of Gmail, is what I want things that I can act on immediately. So we call it actionable stuff. So I want actionable stuff in Gmail. I don't want anything in there that I cannot act on right now. And there are several things in there that I can act on, but not all these things are equal. And I don't want to get wrapped around the axle in trying to compartmentalize or categorize these things more than the must do and everything else. That's it. That's the only distinction I want to make in Gmail. And I have decided to just use a star, so I've starred the cooked chicken task. And so because it's starred, there is a dedicated starred view that I can use. So I don't need to push things up to the top. However, it's kind of nice to be able to do that. So without having to go into the starred view, if I bring the cooked chicken at the top and it has a starred, it's right there for me. And then I can also see everything else that's there too, but I don't have to scan through or anything because cooked chicken is right there at the top. Anyway, that's just a tip about Gmail. So if it works for what you are trying to do, it's nice to know that. And they clearly did that. There are so many things with Gmail that they just did that. You can tell they just added it because it's semi-clunky, if you will, but they did it. You know that when you go to a custom time and they default it to 1 minute from now, you know that they did that. They got your back. You know they did it. It was a very easy way to programmatically make it happen. It's just a default. They just had to choose the default, and they said, hey, let's set the default to 1 minute from now. They could have set it to an hour from now. They could have set it to 30 minutes from now. They could have set it to whatever, but they chose 1 minute from now. And they also, I guess, chose, I don't know, or maybe it already did this, the latest to come off of snooze and to return into the inbox is going to be at the top. And that makes sense because it's sort of sorted by date, right? Descending. So it's a really, really great, powerful way to make that happen. And I'm always trying to reduce the amount of places I need to look for things. And so I'm going to be using this. Okay. Now, let me talk about some of the specifics of like what I've got in my inbox right now and in my calendar as examples of sort of how I'm doing this, because I don't know if I talked about the calendar or not since you joined, but I have what I want Gmail to be is stuff I can act on right now, not today, now. Anything that I can't act on today either needs to be snoozed for some other day. I don't even care. Even if it's tomorrow and I have to review it again, I don't care. I call that punting something until tomorrow, punting something for next week, next month, whatever. Just get it out of my way. But whatever's in my inbox after I do my review this morning, I want it to be actionable, and it needs to be actionable immediately. So that example I gave, I don't know if I gave it since you joined or not, but the example that I'm always going to give is that I can't go to the grocery until 10 a.m. because that's when the meat department opens. So that's going on my calendar. It doesn't mean that I have to do it at 10 a.m. I'm communicating with my future self so that at 10 a.m. I'm going to remember through a notification that comes in from the calendar event that I now can go to the grocery, and then I can slide things around. And I'll tell you how I'm doing that right now in real time. And also, while I'm doing it, why don't I go ahead and cover that I did have a plan for today, but I also knew that I wanted to spend some time with my daughter this morning. And we had already planned to have breakfast this morning, but I didn't know if how much we were going to be able to do. Turns out we had a very long breakfast, talked for a very long time, and we also watched a TV show. So I was with her for like 3.5 hours, from like roughly 8 a.m. until 11:30. So that was a very long, incredibly awesome visit. And I already knew that I was totally good. I didn't care about any of the other things. If we wouldn't have spent that much time together, I would have had plenty of things to do, but I just moved them all down. Okay. In fact, that might be a good place to start let's do Gmail first, and then I'll explain what's in the calendar and why it's in the calendar instead of in Gmail. Okay. So let's go to Gmail, and there's only a few things in here, which is really fucking awesome. I really almost can't believe it. I covered this, by the way. See, now that I covered this, I'm going to do a big X. Like a big X on that page. I could also have not done that. I could flip to a clean page. And what I do is I put that back arrow with the X. See that? That means I don't have to worry about anything. I got a clean sheet of paper, and I don't need to worry about missing anything from these prior pages. I've been doing that for years. That was one of the first things. I call that a breadcrumb. But anyway, I've been doing that since very, very soon after I realized I had ADHD, because I knew that this whole taking notes and worrying about dropping things in previous pages, I didn't realize it was a memory thing. As soon as I figured out it was a memory thing, it's like, okay, I'm taking notes. Now I'm out of space. And so I start freaking out. It's like, oh, I got to turn the page of my notes. Well, how am I going to remember? I'm going to forget whatever I said on the previous page. So then I was like, okay, I'll just put an arrow to tell myself, like, okay, after I'm done with this meeting, I got to go back. I don't want to forget that there's stuff on the previous pages. Anyway, do a happy dance, happy dances. There's nothing wrong with doing a happy dance when you have something like that. I want to get a t-shirt. Maybe I should sell t-shirts and apparel. Maybe someday. Okay, anyway, that's that. Now, this is crazy. I can't believe that I can actually even talk about what is in Gmail right now, because normally there's no way there'd be too much stuff. There'd be a lot of different searches that I use when I compartmentalize all this stuff. But I've really been able to work this list down in no small part due to the fact that I'm not playing guitar anymore at home. So instead I'm compartmentalizing my guitar, and I don't need to worry so much about compartmentalizing and making everything so complex because I just have more time now. Okay. So this is what's in my inbox. I've got a security alert, which is just when I had to log into, why did I even have to log into? Oh, Gmail, fucking Google made me log in just to even do this. To do this, they just made me do it out of the blue. Then I've got something, I just got a new email from my daughter's school. And this is all about students being able to get free food or bullshit. There's like nothing from the broader school system that my daughter is in. Nothing. I have been able to absolutely ignore everything from that broader school system. Her specific, she's in a charter school, okay? Her specific school tells me everything I need to know. And her principal is amazing. The school is amazing. The broader school system is just absolute utter bullshit. Just horrible. So I just ignore everything. All right. Anyway, I normally wouldn't have even looked at that. I will also say that another sort of general principle that I follow is that I do not read my Gmail like on the same day. Normally, what just happened, that would have occurred tomorrow. In my tomorrow morning's review, I will see whatever mail comes in, email from other people. Also, if I need to capture something, which everything gets captured in Gmail. So that is 100% of what I need to remember goes into Gmail. And with the only exception being that if my hands are tied and my phone is locked, then Siri will not allow me to send an email. It'll say you need to unlock your iPhone first. And so what I do in that situation is I will send a text message to myself, which is fine because I'll receive a notification. The text will be on my notification screen. and then I can do whatever I need to do from there. I can then, when I have my hands back on the phone, I can convert that into a Gmail task or whatever I need to do with it. Sorry, my nose itches. So right at the top of my Gmail inbox, I have cooked chicken. I do not have to do that at any specific time today. It is immediately actionable. It must be done, sort of what I'm treating it like it must be done. And because there is something in my inbox that must be done, hopefully this makes sense. I need to point to that. So I need something on my calendar so that I have something on my lock screen, because I don't want to have to look at Gmail. I want to look in one place. And it's important that it not be Gmail, because things come into Gmail that are not critical. So I don't want to look at my badge counts. In fact, I'm not showing badges in my notification, in the Gmail notification settings. I have badges turned off. So there's no way for me to even know from my home screen that there is even anything in Gmail. Now, do I know that there's stuff in there? Pretty much. I mean, I know if my Gmail inbox is totally empty, that literally means that I have nothing to do. And believe me, I will remember that. So I'm not worried about that. So there's always something, but it's a pull. I want a pull relationship with Gmail. Basically, it's like I know that everything that I need to do and can do, I know that's in Gmail. So I don't need to go in there and look. I know there's stuff in there. There's always stuff in there, but I got to go pull it. However, there's one exception, which is must do items. And so that's a problem. I don't want to have to go in there to see if there's a must do thing. Is there a must do thing in there? I don't know. No, I want the only thing that I need to look at is my lock screen. I am not going to look at anything else. I'm going to look at my lock screen. I'm also getting notifications that come in and sounds that come in, which, by the way, we're going to go through that too, because it's awesome the way I've got it set up. And there's some specific things that I've got set up that are amazing. So let's look. So how do I deal with that? So what do I have on my calendar to handle that must-do item in Gmail to point me over there? Well, it's what you'd expect. It's just I've got an event that points over there. Let's see where it is. Now, I do have to clean up a little bit of this because I spent the morning with my daughter, and I know that was never a problem. I could have spent the whole day with my daughter as long as I cook chicken before I go to bed tonight. I'm good. So, and I knew that it wasn't going to be all day, right? So I didn't have to worry about this, but now I can come in here and I kind of refresh like what's going on my calendar. Okay. So there is a calendar entry. It's no longer going to be on my lock screen because I'm talking to you. Okay. But let me pull it up, and it is called, and I tend to communicate with myself in this way. It's a full sentence, and it says, there are several must-dos for today in Gmail. And it's very deliberate the way I say that, because all I want to do is remember. That's it. I know what to do with that information, but I just need to remember that there's something in there. And it's what's in there. I also know. I know it's chicken. I know that's what I need to do today, but I still want to have a mechanism to make sure that I don't forget. Okay, so it's now 12:37 p.m. and this was on my calendar from 11:30 to 12:30, which I would have already started to do this, except that I'm talking to you, right? So I had breakfast and I watched TV with my daughter. Then I was looking at this and realized that there were several things I wanted to share. And so then I started doing this, and I originally wasn't going to do this, because this is like playing guitar, and it's sucking time away from me. But then I neglected to clarify that earlier when I was talking about this stream of consciousness kind of thinking around, do I need to do laundry and some of these other things today? No, I don't, because I'm on vacation, but I'm supposed to be on vacation and there's work I need to be doing and all that. It also applies to doing this stream. I think there's a difference, because doing this stream, I believe, is going to make a difference. It's going to matter tomorrow. Playing guitar and just simply having pure fun isn't necessarily going to matter tomorrow. There's nothing wrong with having fun. In fact, if I ever want to burn any time, there's nothing better to burn time than play guitar. And also walking. Walking can burn all kinds of time. Anyway, so I'm allowing myself to do this because I know there's only one thing I need to do. There are more things I can do, and I don't want to just burden myself with all these things and let all these things accumulate, but that's not the case. Okay, so what do I want to do? How do I get this now? How do I get this back on my lock screen so that it's on my radar, right? It's easy, and there's a lot of different ways I can do it. The way that I'm going to do this particular one is that and there's reasons for this, but I know that I'm going to be talking to you, for probably at least 20 more minutes or something like that. So it's real easy for me. I feel very confident that I'm not going to be needing to cook chicken until at least 1 p.m. So I'm just going to drag this down to the next hour. I do everything based on hours. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to drag it down to 1 p.m. So now that calendar event is from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And here's another thing I can do. In fact, I'm going to do something a little different. It's 12:40 right now. This is just me being pedantic about this. But what I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to drag this up a little bit so that it will show up in 5 minutes, 12:45. But I'm going to drag the bottom of that event down to 4 p.m. Actually, I'm going to drag it down to all the way down. Let's drag it all the way down to, let's say 8 p.m. Now, that will now be on my lock screen until 8 p.m. So that's perfect. So I don't have to worry about, I don't keep dragging it down or anything. I want that message. There are several items in my Gmail inbox. I want that on my screen until I cook chicken. So now I can just relax. Now I have nothing else to do with respect to making sure that I remember that thing. Okay? Now, what else have what else do I kind of want to do? I also, my initial plan before I decided to do this stream was to meditate. And so it was another part of my plan I was going to do after my daughter leaves. It's like, I want to meditate, and I want to do meditate a lot this next week. So that's another thing I want to do. It's part of that. And not only is it part of that, but meditating is a perfect thing to do while I'm waiting for the chicken to cook, while I'm waiting for the chicken to come up to temp, while I'm waiting for the chicken to rest before I put it back in the fridge or put it in the fridge, right? So meditating and cooking go perfectly together. And it's amazing because I literally meditate more when I have to cook. Fucking crazy. I tested it one night. I'll tell you about it sometime. So I'm just going to drag meditation down, and I'm going to drag it down to the next hour, which is 1 p.m., but I'm not going to drag it all the way down. And the reason I'm going to do that, it's a little nuanced and it's a little bit pedantic, but I'm not going to drag it all the way down to the end of the evening or anything, because I may actually want to meditate before I cook chicken, because I really just want to do a lot of meditation. So I'm not going to just put those two together where I won't meditate until I cook chicken. I want to meditate, and I kind of want it to be just 1 to 2 so that there's a little bit of sort of pressure for me to kind of do it. And I'll explain that. Let me go ahead and explain. There's something that goes perfectly with it, because I have another tool, and this one is called, or it's a technique, and it is an event that is called Next Hour Approaching. And that event is scheduled for 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. But the alert is set to go off 10 minutes early. So why? What is that all about? It's about this. And I don't always need to use this. And honestly, I sort of want to get away from this a little bit, but it's very nice when it makes sense. That is the phase that I'm in with a lot of these tools and techniques, is that I want to use them all, and I want to be more of a conductor. I want to be like more art than science. I want to kind of use all of these capabilities when it makes sense and when I need to, and for today and for this moment and for whatever I need to remember, and so that I can get the information I need when I need it. And so what this one does is, it is because the alert is set to sound 10 minutes early. What that means is that at 12:50, I'm going to receive the notification, and also it will be on my lock screen. What that means is that it's kind of a warning, it draws my attention to the fact that we're going into another hour. And what it allows me to do is it kind of snaps me back to reality, sort of. And so I check my lock screen, and is there anything I really should be doing? Have I been blowing things off like I'm doing now with you? Also, it allows me to very easily just drag, to punt, if you will. I'm going to use that term a lot, punt. I can punt these, whatever it was that I was planning to do for this hour, I can just be reminded of it the next hour. So I just drag it down. I can drag what I'm going to do. Normally I wouldn't be doing this with you. I would wait for that, and then I'd be dragging these things down, right? So in 5 minutes, in 4 minutes, that's going to go off. And then if I wasn't talking to you and I wasn't looking at this right now, I would be pulling up my phone and saying, oh shit, there's, these 2 or 3 things, I didn't do them yet. I want to still do these things. I still want to remember to do these things. I just drag them down. If I wait until 1 o'clock or 1 p.m. to realize that I didn't do these things, then it's just a little awkward to get them back on my lock screen, because even if I drag them down to 1 p.m., it won't trigger the notification. It'll only notify me of something that is actually there on my calendar when we hit 1 p.m. If that makes sense. So it's just a nice little thing, and it's also a nice little warning. It's kind of a nice warning, but I don't want it all the time. But today I do want it, because there are things that I want to remember, and I want to be on my lock screen starting at 1 p.m. and until whenever, right? Okay. Now I also have this strategy reminder, and it's called Consult Yellow Stickies on My Fridge, and it has to do with how I'm eating. So 1 p.m. is kind of when I normally eat lunch, it's a little bit of a later lunch than some people, but I also eat a little bit of a later breakfast. And it's because I'm doing this, drinking coffee. But I have on my refrigerator, I have a menu, but then I also have all these yellow stickies. It's all just about what I want to be eating. And it sounds silly, but I haven't been paying attention to it. When I go into the kitchen, I just open the refrigerator, or sometimes I decide I'm going to do a pizza or something like that. And so I just have this reminder, like, look at the yellow stickies on my fridge. And it happens at 10 a.m., at 1, I think I do it at 12 p.m. just to kind of remind myself in case I want to do an early lunch. And then at like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., which is kind of the earliest that I'm going to eat dinner. And I got this 3 times a day. Hey, look at that yellow sticky. So I want that. I move that down. I also have this, I kind of failed a little bit on this one thing, but I wanted to drink water. I also want to brush my teeth. I usually brush my teeth after breakfast, but I didn't do that because I've been drinking this. I was with my daughter, so I want to brush my teeth after breakfast. It's technically brush and floss my teeth. It is so much easier to floss my teeth during the day than right before bedtime. It's just, my brain will just give me too many reasons not to do it. But I'm also kind of trying to be more disciplined about that. So what I'm going to do, here's my next, okay, that's my next hour approaching alert. Okay. God, I could tell you so many, I'm not going to get into all the nuts and bolts of really how to configure that properly, but I'm happy to do that. I'll probably have to do that sometime. It's a very focused, targeted, non-confessional type thing. But for now, I'm going to drag that brushing. So if I wasn't talking to you, that would have drawn my attention to, hey, how are you doing with everything that's on your phone and on your lock screen? So I'm going to drag the brush and floss teeth down. I know that I'm going to do that after I eat lunch. Normally I would do it after breakfast. I don't know whether I'm actually going to floss my teeth or not, but I know I need to brush my teeth. So for whatever reason, I just decide that I'm not going to floss my teeth. It should be a decent reason. Sometimes I have to go to perform, and there's a really, really valid reason why I don't want to floss my teeth. And then I'll just commit to doing it later. And then I'll just drag it down to like 7 p.m. and then I'll get her done. Okay. There's also this drinking water, which I didn't do because I've been doing this. I've been talking to you. I was with my daughter. I just haven't drank any water today. Even at breakfast, I got a small coffee. Probably shouldn't have done that. Probably should have gotten water instead, but it was fun to get all hopped up on caffeine. And then I have one other thing that's, it's called Take the Trash Out. That doesn't belong. That does not belong here. Do I have that in Gmail? Let me check my start. I probably snoozed it. I did. I'm going to change this. How do I explain this? I'm trying to allow for more inconvenience. I'm not going to forget. It's impossible to forget to take the trash out. But when I'm in there to cook, and then I want to get out of there because I need to eat, and then I don't end up back in there until I need to cook again. And it's just taking out the trash is one of those things I just kind of forget to do. And I could just get rid of it and not have it at all. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it as an actionable in Gmail so that I see it. Hey, it's something I can do, but it is not, it is actionable now, which means it doesn't belong. It never belonged in the calendar. If it's actionable now, it doesn't belong in the calendar, period, unless I'm specifically constructing or architecting my day. So I need to go apply that same scrutiny back to the calendar. Even though this sounds like so overthinking, in my head, all of everything I've talked about today is 5 seconds. Okay? But I do want to do this. I'm going to open up, take trash out. I'm going to take the star off of it. I am then going to move it. I think the best way to do this, since it's going to go out, is I'm going to unsnooze this. Okay? That's going to remove it from my starred view, and then it's going to show up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it unread. So now it is, I've got 4 things other than cooking chicken. It is next to those 4 things, and so now I've got something that I can do, doesn't need to be done at any particular time. It is immediately actionable. I can do it right now, and that's where it belongs. It never belonged in my calendar. I got to be careful about that. All right. We talked about cooking chicken. I think we went over. Oh, we were looking at the calendar though. Okay. Now, everything is now cleaned up. I'm going to delete this, take the trash out. That's just stupid. It should not be in my calendar. So now I'm totally clean. The only thing I see now, I'm going to put though, I want to record the fact that I'm doing this, and I can see right on my screen that I have been live for about an hour and 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my calendar YouTube stream. I can even use this. YouTube stream, add, and I'm going to drag this down. So now when I look back, it's like, wait, why didn't I get anything done today? Well, I was streaming. I will not remember what I did today. This is like next level. This is optional, but it is something I kind of want to start to do a little bit more of. I don't want to get wrapped around the axle or get to have some administrative thing and always be looking at my phone, but it is kind of nice when I get something done, when I'm done something, when I've transitioned from one thing to another, to just kind of like, if it's real easy, just to kind of record that I did this stream. And when I look back later tonight, tomorrow, if I'm ever curious about how much time I'm streaming, what did I do yesterday? Why did I not get this stuff done? This will remind me not only that I did stream, but it's also probably going to trigger the memories around like why it is that I allowed myself to do this. Okay, anyway, so now let's go to it's 12:56. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not. I promise you it's not a lot. But 7 things, 7 events. Sometimes it's just information. It's just things that I don't know when I'm going to want to do, but it's just going to remind me of 7 things. They might not even be tasks. 7 things are going to pop up at once, but let's go and look at my lock screen now. On my lock screen, there is this next hour approaching event, and the reason it's on my lock screen is that I had it set to alert me 10 minutes in advance, which I talked about before, right? And the fact that it's still on my lock screen not only reminds me that it's coming up and I probably need to drag these things down and all that stuff I talked to you about, but it's also reminding me to actually move that to the next hour. And when I move it to the next hour, it's always going to keep that 10 minutes ahead. So all I need to do is drag this thing down to the 2 o'clock hour, and then it's going to do the same thing for me at 2 o'clock to remind me as like a safety net for all the things that I'm going to be doing in the 1 o'clock hour. So it's just a really nice thing. I'm choosing to want to have that so that I can just feel more free. I kind of know that it's got my back, that I'm going to be reminded of this stuff. I don't want a reminder or something like that if there's nothing going on, because then it's just adding noise to my day. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag that down. Oopsies. I accidentally dragged it to the next day. drag that down to the 2 p.m. hour, so from 2 to 3. So now at 1:50 p.m., it's going to notify me again. And it's also going to be on my lock screen. It's also going to draw my attention to the other things on my lock screen. But there is now nothing on my lock screen except for a text message from my daughter, which I probably need to read because it's been 43 minutes because I've been talking to you guys. And then there's another text message, but it's a down lower priority in my notification center from a friend. And I will get to her when I get to that text message. But my daughter, I want to see what she's saying at least to see. Gotcha. Of course, no problem, exclamation point. All right, let me show you what I'm going to do with this right now, because I hear a lot, not from me yet. I don't have many viewers, you can probably tell. But in Reddit, which is where I spend some time, I see people asking often, like, how do you get back with friends? How do you communicate with friends? It's an issue from like a pure executive function perspective, and it is for me too, just like them. It's also a time blindness problem, so you won't get back with someone for a long period of time, and then it's like, then you feel bad, and it's like, do I even, now you're embarrassed to even respond to something. So this is, okay, here's all my things. They're popping up, coming down, popping back up. Okay, so now I got the second one said you have 5 new calendar notifications. So because I had 5, one of them popped down, but then it only popped down one more that just said, hey, you got 5 new ones. So it knew that I probably didn't want to hear that 6 times, which is super cool. But back on this, and by the way, this is a breadcrumb because I see it right now. I see my daughter's text on my phone, and before I do anything else, I'm going to copy this text. It's really not that big of a deal, but it's nothing I can do right now. It's not that critical, but I basically just need to, I wrote a check to somebody, okay? And something got spilled on it, so now they can't use it. So I just need to rewrite a check. And no problem. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to long press and copy the text right straight here, the way it's written. Copy. I'm going to hit the home button. I'm going to long press on the Gmail app icon and say compose. That is also cool because if I do it that way, then I still have the breadcrumb of what I was talking to you about because it's going to come back to the primary inbox. It's just a nuance. It's pedantic, but it's also super cool. I'll show you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick myself, which I always have my 2 most recent used emails always show right there, so I can just tap once on myself. And then I'm going to tap on the subject line. I'm going to tap again, and I'm going to say paste, and I'm going to send it. So now in my Gmail inbox, there is a new email to myself. Now I could immediately decide that, oh, that's not actionable immediately, which it's really not, or I'm not going to act on it immediately. But I'm just not going to worry about it because anyway, I can choose whether to just get this out of the way and punt it till tomorrow to figure out what to do with this. I'm going to go ahead and do that because I know, if I wanted to be pedantic about the process and following the exact process, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But why not? Because I want the cooked chicken on the top. So I'm just going to immediately punt this until tomorrow. I know I'm not going to see my daughter or anything today. So this doesn't need to be done today, so I'm just immediately going to punt it tomorrow. I will see it tomorrow, and then tomorrow morning, and that's when I make these kinds of decisions over coffee. Immediately tomorrow, now it's out of my way. Also, because I long pressed and composed that email from my phone's home screen, by long pressing on the app icon, it brought up a new window, but then when I sent that email, it brought me back to wherever it was I was. And I don't even need to remember, but I because it's right here, and I'm in my primary Gmail view. And I was also in the I was also showing you the calendar view, but like now everything is set. So now I don't need to see this Gmail box anymore. I also don't need to see my calendar box anymore because I know that I just cleaned all that stuff up, which normally I wouldn't even have to do all this. But like I said, because I'm talking to you, because I know that I only have one thing that needs to be done today. So I had fun talking to you. I had fun talking to my daughter. I just had these things, for candidates. I wanted to remember them. If, if my daughter left earlier or whatever, I'd want to see all these things. And so it worked. Now, I have a choice. I think I'm going to go back to the home screen of my phone. I will see there is a badge count on text messages. Okay, and that's from my friend. That is that's in the notification center. It also is in the badge count of my home screen, but it's also got the blue dot. So as a matter of practice, I don't let the badge count of text messages kind of bother me or get in my way, because I know I'm also seeing them on the notification screen. Anyway, we don't need to get wrapped around the axle about that. But let's go now. But the real place that I want to be and need to be, let me back up a second. There are other advantages to my home screen because I have the full month, like the little tiny full month of July. And I can see that today is July 28th. And I can also see where that is visually in the month, because my time blindness also applies at every level. I'm just bad about kind of thinking about where we are in the month. I know, I don't, and just kind of paying attention to it, I've gotten a little better. So I see that. I see the weather. I also see that there's rain for the next hour. I see a visual representation of the clock. And that it's a little bit past 1 o'clock. So I'm in the 1 o'clock hour. And so there's some very, very useful things going on in my home screen. Okay. Nothing that's going to ever supersede my lock screen. So let's go to the lock screen. On my lock screen, even with all of these things, this is pretty impressive that I can fit this many things. I've got 6 things, theoretically 6 overlapping events, but it's not. It's 6 pieces of information that are, to one degree or another, relevant to me now, to remember or whatever. And one of them is, it says, I actually don't know. Oh, by the way, you can long press on these, and it won't disrupt them at all, but you can see the entire message. So if I long press on this first one, it'll pop up. This is the same thing I did with my friend. So there was another safety net for my friend's text. So it's on the notification center. It's in the badge count. It's got the blue dot. But it also, I did a copy paste into my calendar because I do want to reply to my friend, but I didn't want to reply too early this morning or anything like that. Of course, there's a lot of other ways. I'm not even going to bring them up. I know all the different ways I can have sent things at a different time, but it's just as easy for me to copy and paste this into my calendar. Okay. And also, I don't really need to do this, but anyway, so there's a literal pasted message from my friend that I then need to respond to. And it's sitting here on my lock screen. No pressure, but it does. I've now remembered with my phone's help that I want to respond to my friend. And I can punt this, I can do it now, I can do it later, I can do it while I'm cooking chicken, whatever it is. I want to remember that. Second one, meditate every opportunity. So this is a little different than my daily meditation, which is every evening. This is me meditate at every opportunity. Now, this helps in a lot of ways, but I won't go into it. But basically, I do actually want to do that. And if I am finding myself to be idle or something like that, I might not even go to the Gmail inbox other than for the important, which is this next one. The third one says there are several must-dos. There are several must-dos for today in Gmail. And that is the thing that is linking me back to cooking chicken, basically. And cooking chicken is at the top. It's got the blue star. It's in my Gmail inbox, but I'm not monitoring or looking at it. This is the thing that is reminding me that there is something there. And that's perfect. And I even know what it is. I don't even need this, but it's just nice to have it there, okay? Because it's a candidate, but I don't need to cook the chicken at any particular time, okay? So there's just another thing that I wanted to remember, right? Now, what's the next thing? Drink water. Drink water kind of reminds me that I haven't finished my coffee. But I really do. I like to have, first of all, I didn't have any water with breakfast. I had coffee with breakfast. So that's strike one. Strike two is that I also want to be ingesting an extra large cup of water in addition to all of the water that I intake for my meals, and also in addition to the extra water that I intake at the gym, which is really just to make up for what I sweat out in the gym, right? So that's just like kind of my system. Drink water with meals, drink an extra large cup of water, and then drink also at the gym. It's just the way it keeps my energy up. It's important. And now I'm in a double deficit because I didn't have water with breakfast. I didn't have my extra water, and it's lunchtime right now. And I haven't had lunch yet. We'll get to that, though. Don't worry about it. Because we're about to get to there. So that's drink water. The next one is brushing and flossing my teeth. We talked about that. I usually do that after breakfast, but like I said, I've been talking to you. The next one is called consult yellow stickies on my refrigerator. And what that means is that I was talking about that before. It means a lot of things. First of all, it reminds me that this is the time to eat. This is like lunchtime for me. So I'm giving myself permission to have lunch. I need to have lunch. I also need to remember that I have items on my refrigerator that I can eat, and there's a reason why they're on the refrigerator. It's because I want to be reminded of those things, but I need to remind myself to specifically look at those things because I've just desensitized myself, just not paying attention to it. When I go into the kitchen, either I'm not even looking at it at all, or I'm just opening the refrigerator door. I'm just not seeing it. And so this is saying, bro, look at what's on the refrigerator. You've got messages to yourself. Okay? So I am going to, let me do one more thing and then we'll wrap up for today. And then, like I said, I'm doing the documentary style quick takes on my phone that I'll start posting to YouTube. And so the last thing is really, we talked about context this morning, talked about all these tips and things that how I'm using Gmail and how I'm reminding myself of only what I need to remember and when I need to remember it. Got the stuff ready to go in Gmail at any point. I've got lots of actionables in Gmail. Having everything in Gmail be actionable is very important to my motivation, because if I go into Gmail and it's a mix of things that I can do and things I can't do, now I've got another, task to like figure out which of these things I can do and which of these things I can't do, and I can't have that. First thing I see in Gmail better be something I can do. And right now it's cooking chicken, which I can do. So that's that. And then with the context of looking forward, because I want to do this, I typically would do these on more short takes, but with respect to like what's next for today, what I'm going to do is, it's now 1:14. It's the lunch hour. So now I need to have lunch. I have not cooked my chicken yet, but it doesn't really matter because, and this is not a huge thing, but I tend to want to cook chicken and then have it be cold. So I will cook chicken and then I'll store it in the refrigerator. And then tomorrow I'll carve it up, because it carves up nicely when it's cold. So I'm probably going to hit, there's a couple of things I can do. If I want chicken, I need to go out to get it. It is rainy and nasty outside. So what I might do is just have something else. I've got yogurt, cottage cheese. I've got granola, oatmeal, eggs. Egg sandwiches are always a great like emergency sort of thing, or a bridge kind of meal. But I really, really do like Chipotle too. I could also be very super bad and get pizza. I know I'm not supposed to do that, but let me look at the weather real quick and see, is the rain going to be letting up? Okay, it's going to be rain for the next hour. If I look at today, it's just going to be a nasty day. It's just rain. It's going to be a rainy day. So I'm not going to walk anywhere. I've got a restaurant that I like to walk to. It's right by my gym. I get to walk to my gym. I get to walk to get my hair cut. I get to walk to one of my favorite restaurants, but I won't be doing that today. I'll be going to the gym, but I'm just not going to be walking up there. So then the only other thing is, I really know this is a bad thing, but I feel like I can justify going to get pizza, and this is how I'm going to do it. This is like, now I'm going to memorialize my weakness in my brain, because I know my brain is lying to me right now. You're going to see this in real time, but it's raining. I could go to my local restaurant that's real close and grab something and bring it back home. In fact, I can even grab chicken and bring it back home. They've got grilled chicken fingers that are excellent, and I could go order those, go up, grab them, come back home, and just make whatever I need to do. But that's one of my reminders on my refrigerator, by the way. I've got a yellow sticky that says grilled chicken fingers, and all it is just, I know what it is. It's a reminder that I can go do that, right? But I'm probably gonna get pizza. But let me do this real quick. Let's look at, again, now I love being able to look at my calendar at any time just to see, okay, what else? Is there anything else? Like, because if I do go get pizza or something, is there something else I can do errand-wise? I don't think I have any errands I can run, but if I look at these, and it's kind of hard to read these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the agenda view, and it's very easy to read them in the agenda view. And they're also all black. Everything before the current hour is gray, and everything in the future is dark bold or bold black. And I can see answering the text from my friend, meditating. There are several must-dos in Gmail: drinking water, brushing, flossing teeth, and consulting yellow stickies. So there's really nothing I can tack on to, like, if I did make a trip to go get pizza, but I also don't care. I could go get pizza. I could come home. I got a little pizza party, watch some TV, have some pizza, have that whole party thing, and then get to work on chicken so that I don't have an excuse to go out to get pizza. That's kind of how I do things. I used to go to this place for breakfast that I loved, and I struck a deal with myself. I was like, you can go here for breakfast, but you're going to go straight from there to the grocery. And then you're going to go straight from there to cook chicken. But things have been a little sideways today. I spent more time with my daughter. Good problem. I spent way more time with you. We're at 1 hour and 40 minutes-ish, right? No, we are right at 1 hour, 40 minutes. And so, yeah, my day's kind of gone to shit. It's a rainy day. Why not have a pizza party? I might actually be able to talk myself out of it, though. We'll see. I'll let you know. So I'll see you next time. Later.